Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Raw Perspective podcast.
Have you seen the DC comic trailers of upcoming films? They have Wonder Woman 1984.
Yep.
As well as the Batman that's
Yeah.
slated for. I think both were slated for next year.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Batman first. What'd you think?
I'm a little bit excited, but not that excited for it. I like Batman. I like Batman a lot.
Uh-huh.
But I think with was it Robert Patterson? I just can't stop thinking about him being in Twilight.
Yeah.
So I think because he played that role, and like my wife and all of her friends are into Twilight, so just seeing his face as a sparkly vampire to go into Batman is like throwing me off.
Yeah, I never watched Twilight, but I've seen the commercials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like just off the commercials, like I'm stuck on him. Like we talked about earlier about a person be stuck that in one role where you can't see them play anything else. So I'm kind of stuck with that as well. But he's a good actor. If they could make it work,
yeah, if they
it should be pretty good. But in terms of the trailer for the Batman, I didn't like it.
Yeah. I thought it was somewhere stuck between like the early Batmans, and then they tried to make him still comic booky, but
yeah,
gritty.
He does have an edge. Yeah, he is gritty. It's a gritty Batman.
But it isn't as gritty as The Dark Knight or Batman Begins. So it's like not quite Batman Begins, but not quite comic book Batman. It's somewhere in the middle, and I don't know how well that's going to turn out.
Yeah, I don't know either, man. The suit, in my opinion, is the worst Batman suit I've seen in a long time. Like the suit is horrible.
Yep, I'm not a big fan of the suit either.
Like they're still filming. I'm sure they're receiving a lot of backlash already.
Yeah,
but the suit and the Batmobile.
The Batmobile looks like it was something straight out of like 80s. They just took one of the. Looks like they souped up a DeLorean.
Yeah. I didn't like the trailer at all, man. I mean, it's still a little ways away from them completing the movie, but I hope they make some drastic changes.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope they get that sure set direction instead of being stuck in the middle between one or the other. I'm hoping that for Robert Patterson, that maybe he can get out of those Twilight roles and get into a more versatile role, because my understanding he's a pretty good actor.
Yeah. What DC needs to do though is trying to find stability in those characters, because we just had a Batman movie. I think 2 years ago. Was it Justice League?
Yeah, Ben Affleck.
Yeah, like come on, like it hasn't been that long, and you already have a new person playing Batman. Like they need to find stability.
Yeah,
that's their biggest problem.
Yep, that's like the Spider-Man movies up until recently, and
yeah.
I think they finally found like the real Spider-Man.
Well, the problem with Spider-Man was since Sony, I believe it's Sony that owns Spider-Man, and they were having a lot of problems with Marvel. Trying to come up with a deal to integrate Spider-Man, because Sony was gonna start, a third reboot of Spider-Man.
I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad too. Yeah, I'm glad they just said, "Hey, here, Marvel. Do the movies, we get the sales, you get merchandise." Like, I'm glad they had a deal in place. But that's Batman, there's no excuse for him, because
that's DC's always been like that.
They have horrible storytellers.
Yeah, pretty much. Which I think is weird, because their comics are great.
Yeah.
Like if they
got better characters.
Yeah, they do. If they could just turn some of their comics into movies, I think they'd be set.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they're trying. I really don't know what they're trying.
I think the big difference between Marvel and DC is Marvel, they're long-term planners.
Oh,
DC,
phenomenal.
Yeah, DC is very short-term.
Yep. DC's what can we do this year? Marvel's like, what can we do to affect the world for the next 100 years?
Absolutely. Because they gave us a whole decade of films. And then it came up to its highest climax.
Yeah.
The final movie. And it was amazing.
Yep.
And DC just try to rush it.
Yep.
And try to give you the climax before you even understand what's going on.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I think that's what sets Marvel apart is Marvel made you love the characters. Like really, truly get into the characters from not only their superhero lives, but their personal lives.
Mm-hmm.
But DC just kind of like says, all right, you guys know what our characters are. Here's a movie.
Exactly.
And then it's
you're like assuming too much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing I also realized is DC's movies have no cohesion.
No, zero.
Yeah. Like I talked about before, Marvel movies, you can watch them as standalone movies. At the same time, they connect with each other.
Yep.
But DC, they're all standalone movies, and then somehow in the Justice League, they all connect.
Yeah. And it was a poor connection at best.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't like the DC movies.
They had 2G instead of 5G.
Mm-hmm.